Stop loss. Sounds like a great idea, right? If the trade goes against me, stop and get me up out of this thing, cut my losses, shut it down. Well, in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down what are stop losses and is it the best thing to use to manage a trade? Or have you considered something that I like to call the I'm wrong level, which is a little bit different from having a hard stop loss. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the pros and cons of both right now. Let's first identify what is a stop loss or an I'm wrong level. Some people prefer to use a stop loss, and what a stop loss is you put in a order that says, I am going to sell this stock or option or whatever the asset is at a certain price if this happens. So you say if a $100 stock drops down to 96, you have a stop that says stop, get me out, close the trade, sell it at 96 or 95, whatever I can get for it. That is what's called typically a hard stop loss when something's going against you. Now you can use it on the opposite end. It's called a stop out. Once it gets to 102, get me out. So here goes to 102, triggers and sells. Those are called stop losses or stop out, stop profits, etc. Now, I like to use what I call a I'm wrong level. So how does that differ from a stop loss? Well, the first way it differs is I like to set alerts at significant points. So if a stock reaches my potential target profit level, I like to set an alert 25% below that. So what do I mean by that? If I expect the stock to move $10 and the stock has already moved $7.50, I typically like to set my alert at that $7.50 level because I want to know when it gets within 25% of my final target of where I thought the stock could go. Same thing if the stock is falling. I like to look at the chart and look at what's called support, and then I like to set an alert, maybe $1, $2, or $5, depending on the price of the stock, below support, because I know that the stock could fall down and get bought back up, but I want to be alerted on my cell phone once that happens. The reason I want to be alerted versus having a hard stop is I want to be able to be the one to come in and make the determination, do I feel like it's time to get out, okay? So when I'm looking to make that determination, number one, I got my alert. Now I start to say, okay, if that alert went off, it's starting to reach my I'm wrong level or it's below my I'm wrong level. And so now I'm looking at it to see, do I want to give it another day or two? The biggest difference is that I'm wrong level versus a stop. A stop is a hard and determined price point, where an I'm wrong level is like around this area, I'm starting to get nervous or not like the trade anymore, but I may give it an extra day, a week, whatever the case may be, just to see if it's just testing those levels and then going to turn around and go higher or behave like I thought it was going to do. Some people want to know, what's the number? Should I set a 10% stop loss? Should I set a 15% stop loss? Should I set a 20% stop loss? And while you can do that, I'm going to share with you what the problem with doing it that way is. See, the problem is what happens if your stock is at support. So let's just say you're trading a stock that's going from $20 to $30, back down to 20, 20 back up to 30, back down to 20. Okay. Now, if you buy the stock at 25 and it falls down to 20, that's like a 25% loss at that point, right? You're down $5. So if you have a 25% stop loss, you're like, I'm getting out of this trade. It hit my 25% stop loss. But here's the problem. The problem is, even though you bought it at 25 and now it fell to 20 and it triggered your 25% stop loss and you're going to get out of the trade, the problem is now, because of this arbitrary 25% number, you're actually going to sell or close out the trade while the stock is at 20. And that's typically where the stock turns around and goes back higher. And so that can be the problem with setting a percentage based or a number based stop loss, is because that number, regardless of what the number is, it may be the opportunity to be buying the stock versus selling and closing out of your position. You just may be down 25% because you bought it wrong. You bought it at 30, you bought it at 29, 28, or 25 when you should have waited till it came closer to about 20, because we've already determined the stock goes from 30 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 back down to 20. And maybe you bought it wrong. And because you bought it wrong, then when you set that arbitrary 25% stop loss, you're gonna get stopped out at the wrong time, and then you're gonna get frustrated with your trading. So I want you to consider two things. Number one, setting an alert to go look at it and then make an observation. The observation that you're going to make is it at my I'm wrong level, which you should have determined by looking at the chart before you even place the trade. And then you look at it and say, okay, is it at my I'm wrong level? Is it below my I'm wrong level? And do I now want to go in and shut the trade down myself? Now, before we get out of here, one thing to consider: if you work a job, if you're on a vacation and you're on a boat in the Bahamas and there's no cell phone service, you may want to set a hard stop, because you're not in a position to pull out your phone or pull out your laptop and look at it and observe whether you want to shut it down or not. And so if you know you're going to be in a position where I can't look at my phone for 4 or 5 hours, I can't look at a computer for 7 days because I'm on a 7-day cruise and there's no internet connection, then you A, may not even want to be trading or investing during that time, or B, you might just want to set a hard stop and be okay if you got stopped out where you should be buying, but you just know that that's the worst that this trade is ever going to be. There's some other issues with stop losses too, but I won't get into that. I'll talk to you on another video about the gap down issue, because gapping down is another issue that can happen with stop losses. But for now, I hope you at least have opened your mind to potentially setting alerts and determining what I like to call your I'm wrong level, as opposed to setting hard stops. But there are times, like I said, when you're on vacation or you're at work, where a hard stop may make sense. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. What strategy do you use to manage your trades? I'll see you on the next one.